Hello and welcome to the stream. Today we're gonna do a song breakdown for my song Hunger, which has been released recently. I hope most of you have heard it. And first of all, I want to apologize for the last 2 weeks because originally the stream was set to be 2 weeks ago. And what happened? Oh yeah, I had a power outage. So I went to the studio and I came here and I wanted to switch on the light. Lights didn't go on. I thought like, okay, maybe the lights are broken. And then I tried to turn on everything else and nothing worked. So I was like, oh, I don't have any power. And that lasted for, I don't know, like 45 minutes or something. So it would have been like 30 minutes into the stream already. So I thought, okay, let's postpone it to next week. Then the next week, man, I injured my back while doing workout. I took it a little bit too far and I had to go to the doctor, which was very short term. So once again, short term, I had to cancel. Sorry for that. So now we're back on track and we're doing the song breakdown. I'll get to your questions later on. First of all, I would just go through the song if that's okay for you. I do like a little Q&A session later. Yeah, I think this time I'm gonna go pretty straight to the song because I think by now you all know how it usually works. So what I do is I do like tons and tons of layouts. So probably like 10 or 20 different layouts. I think maybe, should I play some of those? No, I want to keep it a little shorter today because usually the streams get a little too long for my taste. So yeah, so I do like 10 to 20, 30 different layouts where I have like different ideas. Try out a lot of different stuff. And then finally I had this idea here. So let's jump straight into the project. It kind of started like this already. Why is it not playing? There we go. And I had it without vocals, so I have vocals off. Let me turn this up a little bit. So this is what I had. This was the initial layout pretty much. And then the next day, I really like this. So the next day I tried a drop. The original drop sounded somewhat different. Let me see if I have the original drop. I have to search for a second. This may be, by the way, what you hear now, this may be me singing the very first demo. Can you hear this? I have to check if you can hear this. No, you probably can't. Now you can hear it. This is like a, here we go with a. So this was the original drop. Here it comes. So this drop is the thing that I made the next day. And then I had this part. And this other drop that you just heard, and then I think it took me like 2 weeks. No, not 2 weeks. It's not right. I think 4 days. It was 4 days. Why did I say 2 weeks? I don't know. Anyway, so it took me a couple days to get this chord progression here right because this is quite weird for a EDM or any electronic track. This one here. and so on and so forth. The challenging part, I mean, now it's all there. It kind of sounds natural, I hope. The challenging part was to get back into the original key, because at some point you have like to turn, you go further and further away from the root key, and then you have to get back to it. So that was really tricky. I think it took me like a couple days. Thank you for making me nostalgic. Yeah, you're welcome. Man, by the way, I think Unity is going viral again, talking about nostalgic. I think a slowdown version on TikTok it's really gaining place at the moment. Yeah, so I have to look into this. So I might might make one new TikTok video soon, maybe tomorrow. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's my birthday. By the way, so that's a nice birthday present. Unity going viral again, and then also it's a slowdown version. So now, since I'm getting older, it's cool that people slowed down Unity for me, because when you're 44 years old, it gets a little too intense, I must say. No, yeah, happy birthday in advance. Thank you so much. Yeah. So this is how the song happened. So first this verse, then the next day the drop, the other drop that you heard, then a couple days for the chord progression. And then I pretty immediately, once I had this, I pretty immediately had this outro idea. This is pretty simple. It's just repetition of this, just with the piano. And I don't know what happened, but I thought like, okay, what else could I do? And I just had this idea. I don't know why. Personally, I really liked it. Some people, I think, found it a little bit confusing, especially because the song ends like this. But this is, anyway, this is definitely one of the way more experimental songs. So I think that's okay. Yeah, sometimes I like being more experimental. I think the next two songs are definitely less experimental. They're also way more like friendly, if you will. They're not so dramatic and dark. They're more like happy and hopeful and stuff. So a little bit more like my older songs. Never Be Alone. Yeah, I'm actually currently making a song that reminds me a little bit of Never Be Alone. Let me play one little bit of it. Actually, but it's me singing. I might keep it with me singing. No, I don't have it ready at the moment. No. Anyway, cool. So let's look at the track. I'm just gonna go from the start. So what really carries the song, I still have it as in VST here, is this string section here. So this is the Native Instruments, how's it called? It's session strings, I think. If I said correctly, session strings, session horns, session strings. But I bet it's here. Does it say here anyway? Yeah. So what happens is when you press a key, it does this. So it has this animator here. So you can press. Right. So you can press a chord and it plays it very realistically. And also what I like about it, it's not too big. It's a little smaller than a lot of other orchestra libraries. A lot of other orchestra libraries, they sound really huge, which is cool if you want huge. But this one, it would be too blurred. If it would be all too much reverb, it would be too far away. And then, as you can see, I have so this is just playing this. This is how it would usually sound. So I have some EQ on it. Very gentle distortion. And then some filter. Interesting. This is Arturia. I mean, you could also use a different filter for this, but just cutting off the high frequencies a little bit. Right? So this is without. It's very crisp. I often like to really clean up the high frequencies. I don't have too much going on there because I don't like when there's too much white noise up there. And I think this does nothing. It's just a utility. No, it removes the DC. That's all it does. So yeah, you can see here, it's going in a loop all the time, doing the same thing over and over again. And here it starts getting funny. So this is sort of the backbone on a musical level. Somebody said every song is instrumental. Yeah, to different degrees. I mean, because every song, if you release a new song, you create something new. So and that so far you experiment. But for me, there's a big difference from, let's say, for example, Xenogenesis back then was very experimental for me. To, for example, We Meet Again, which was more of a safe play, I would say. It was very melodic, was very traditional structure and everything. And for example, when I released Xenogenesis, was completely different than anything I had ever done before. And I was really thought how are people are gonna react to that? Or for example, Monody was the same thing. It was very experimental. And recently, for example, Monkeys as well was very different from what I usually do. It was me singing, style was different. So that's more experimental in general music terms, but also for what I'm doing. Cool. So yeah, this is the backbone of the song. Yeah, and just added some drums here. Very simple. So this is just a splice sample, crane one shot. This is just a little bit of punch. And then I have a sub. Trying to remember, I think this is from Sub Lab. It's a VST. You can see that there's a lot of limiting or maybe distortion going on here. Together. So this just gives a little bit of, this just adds a little bit of click here. Clap. Very simple stuff. This is what I'll do quite a bit. That claps are slightly different. This is subconscious if you listen to the entire track. Alright, but it's slight variations, just to subconsciously. So those things, if you follow my stream, I do those things quite a lot. It really helps so it doesn't sound so static, right? Otherwise, it's always when you do this loop and copy and paste, what easily happens is that it just sounds static, especially when you don't have any filter going up or something like that. So that's one way to fight that. And here's a slight, I think this is a clap actually. Yeah, it sounds like this. So it's not supposed to be loop. So it sounds like this, but I just used this beginning here. So if you listen to those claps together, it sounds like this. Right? This. Sorry. So there's this. There we go. How do you start a song? I've always tried to use a concept or emotion, then analyze songs related to that and try to take ideas into that. I usually start just by music ideas. So it could be that I hear something. What could it be? I hear somebody singing a melody just on one note and I'm okay, I just want to try repeating one note and changing the chords in a certain way. So I start with that. Or I start with combining different, or I said I really want to try something in 150 BPM with 4 to the floor bass or something like that. Just one idea, maybe a few other ones. And yes, there's usually an emotion involved. So I think I like this. I like this emotion, but you need an emotion and you need a idea how to create that emotion. So those two things. But sometimes it can be sometimes I'm just trying out things without aiming for a certain emotion, because then I suddenly get an emotion. And then I think oh, that's interesting. And then I can try to emphasize that emotion even more. So this very simple drums, as you can hear. Here's a hi-hat. It does very little so far. So this. Oh, there's the open hi-hat as well. This one here. It's a little more busy, the hi-hat. Oh, there's another one. Yeah. You shouldn't do a lot of. So the reason I did not a lot of drums here is that the instrumental is very busy with this. It's just firing on the 16ths. So you don't need a lot of drums here. The drums are there more to structure the entire thing. Sometimes it might be the other way around. You have a very, very low-key instrumental, like more chords going on, and then you want the drums more busy. So it's always a matter of balance. So yeah, that's pretty much it on this part. Just a little cello fill here. So now this is a double bass that I cut off. So double bass means it's those huge strings that you see in an orchestra. So I just played it, but it has some reverb on it, so I just cut it off. Yeah, I might call up with Real in the future. We're in contact. Might definitely happen if I have the right song. So then I have this one here. This is from Pigment's bass. And this is another Pigment's bass. There's just a lot of basses going on here. And then the chords, so those chords here, they get also some support. So this is Jupiter. So this gets added. So we have the strings going on here. And this drops in. How do you make bass, whether double, sub, etc., fit into the sonic environment? I always love experimenting with huge super saws, but I feel as if I always have bass missing, even if I boost it with the levels. So the problem with when you use super saws is that it fills up the entire spectrum, frequency spectrum. Usually, you can only do it when you have only the bass going on. So you have some drums, and then you have a bass with a super saw. So that's a usual. Don't take it personal, but it's something that I did when I started producing, is that I would have way too much high frequencies in the bass. Yeah, so usually you try to have the bass just play, yeah, have it more on the low frequency spectrum, only there, and not so much in the high frequencies. So this has a little bit, but you can see here on this part, you can see it has not a lot of it. It kind of cuts off at 1K. And this one here, also around 1K, there's not a lot, it just goes down here. So if you use a super saw, it would look like this, it would go all the way up here. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much the verse on this part. And just some effects here. Just a crash cymbal. So this is some orchestra cymbals that I sampled. And this is also orchestra crash. Right. No, that's I think that's a different crash. Yeah, just those together. So it's just this and then a small. So let me try something. No. No, I'm just trying to recap the chords real quick. So we're at. Ah, yeah, okay. Okay, so it's really interesting because I'm trying to... because I'm almost like wondering which key we are in. Wait a second. So this is E major, and then we go to A minor, but with a C in the bottom, and then we go to the A down here, but this goes on the 9, right? Can anybody tell me which key that is? I mean, I'm playing stuff, and I know a little bit of music theory. But my point here is why I'm saying this, why I'm trying to figure it out again, is I think this chord progression really drives the song, because it never feels like... it's probably this, you don't really know even what the root key is, right? Because if it's A major... yeah, it could be, what is that? Mixolydic, or however you call it. It's E minor. No, it's not E minor because it's E major playing here. This is an E major, but it goes to A minor. So what would that be? That is, I think it's called I only know the German word, Lydisch. Yeah, but I think this chord progression is really what drives the song here, because it's very uncommon and it's kind of uneasy. Mixolydian, yeah, I think maybe Mixolydian. It's in minor. Yeah, I mean, when you look it up, yeah, I mean, because it's usually when you look it up, like those algorithms and stuff, they try to figure out just the root key, and it only knows major and minor, but it's definitely not minor. Because this is A major, it starts with an A major chord. Anyway, so it's like this uneasy... chord progression that you never really know. Like, it's different when you play something like, let's say, like very classic. Oh no, it's not playing. If you play something like this. Or even strong, more straightforward, you play something like this. Right, you know, alright, now we're in F major. And then you know if you go... you know, okay, now we're back on the root key, right? But this one, also this one rubs really, because this one stays on E major, and then you have the 7 in the bass. Yeah, it's so, yeah, just pointing out. So what I did here actually was, I think that was also the start for the song, because we had this question before. Are you going to experiment with microtonal music? Maybe, we'll see. We had this question before, how do you start a song? And I think I started with this chord progression. I was just playing around with chord progressions and trying to make something that creates tension. And that's what I did here, and that's how the song happened. This song is very much about building a lot of tension. All right, cool. So let's go to the breakdown. Just starts production-wise with what we already have. So this is the entire instrumental going on at the moment, and it's just this part here playing, right? It's just those strings, what we started with. And you can see there's a lot of stuff coming in here. Let me just play this here. Kind of subtle, but there's more cello coming in. And there's the double bass coming in. And then there's horns. And trumpets. Trombone. And tuba. And trombone. And some timpani. So this is all the stuff that's getting added. So this is without the main strings. And this one foreshadows a little bit the drop, together with the vocals. Yeah, so that's so there's not too much going on here in the build-up. Just a snare roll. And some effects. Very simple. Yeah, so a lot of the build-up happens in the instruments here. All right, let's get to the drop. So let's start with the easy stuff. So this is the same that we had before. I think this is a little more distortion on it, the 808. Let me see. Yeah, as you can hear, this is more distortion on it. Simple clap. Not that much going on. Then we have the double bass again. This time with reverb. It's just to support the 808. Very little going on. One step, and then it's just the lead. Okay, how was this done? This is a. So this is a sound that I made myself, apparently. You can see that this is a default. Well, let me try and figure out what I did here. There we go. So one really important thing that you can see here is that once again, I think we had it in the last one as well, I use a lot of pitch modulation. So let me show you, let's start with this. Because to make something sound interesting and alive, it always helps a lot to use pitch modulation. So let me just put a straight up saw wave here. And I'm gonna reduce the pitch modulation. I cannot put it to 0. Then let me delete the pitch modulation. So I'm just gonna delete all the pitch modulation. So this is just a saw wave, as you can hear. And I'm gonna make this a little longer. Just cut it a little. Just a saw wave. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing, just with the pitch modulation. So I'm gonna put this to 2. Let me see how much I used here. Oh, it's even 1. Okay. Just to 1. But you will hear a huge difference. Hasn't this more like a little weird, unstable sound? That's because there's a lot of pitch modulation. So this is the pitch modulation here. So this little wonky sounding effect, that's a pitch modulation. So this is very important because this alone can already make a huge difference. So we have this one here. Let me see what I did there. I think, yeah. So once again, I played around with the harmonic engine from Pigments. I already used it, I think, on the lead on Out of the Rain as well. Let's try and recreate that a little bit. There's more to it, but yeah, let's try and recreate that a little bit. There's 2 more layers to it. I'm gonna get to that later on. But I think this is the most, for me, I think that would be, if I would watch the stream, this would be the most interesting part, what was done here, because the lead is kind of unusual. All right. Okay, so this is... Yeah, once again, the pitch modulation does a lot already. So what we do is we make a little more release. And then we use the harmonic engine. And I don't know if I'm gonna get the exact same result as before. Partials. Yeah, but I can play around with the stuff that I used. So I think I used a lot of those R comp and V comp. So this, if you play this changes the partials that you have here. So how this works, let's start a little different. So the way this works is, can you tilt this? Yeah. So let me start with a low note. So this is just one sine wave. You can see it here, right? And you can hear that it's very, it's just one sine, and you can also see it here, right? So the way additive synthesis works is that it adds another sine wave on top. So this is the first octave. So those are usually, there are multiples of this one. So this one is twice as fast. The sine wave is twice as fast as the lower one. Now this one is 3 times as fast, so this is the 5th. And this one is 4 times as fast, so that's the 2nd octave. So we have octave, 5th, octave. Now we get the 3rd. You can probably hear that. Now another 5th, 7, and so on and so forth. It keeps adding multiples of the bass frequencies, and so on and so forth. So those are just multiples of the root frequency. This is called root frequency. I always mess up the English words. So now what's interesting, you can then just modify in different ways. You can just modify those multiples here. So those harmonics. And this cuts out a couple of them, and this cuts out other ones. So now you can just, let me cut up the high frequencies here a little bit. You can then get really funny with it. And just play around with this. Let me see, what else did I have? Yeah. So, so yes, you can get like pretty interesting result with this. What else do we have? This is the... yeah, exactly. Honestly, I don't know quite exactly how they work. I know how a comp filter works. I know how that you can either like notch the frequencies up or notch them down. It's like you do it through slight delay of one frequency. But I don't know what R comp and W comp is. So, and also it doesn't really matter. You just play around with frequencies here. You already see you get like interesting sound here. And then what I did is I played around with I think with the distortion a little bit, maybe. No, I think might have been the chorus first. Maybe some distortion after that. I don't know. Yeah, then you can once again you can play around with this stuff here again. No, I think it was higher. Yeah, you can hear when I start messing with this here, get really weird results. So this is, I'm not coming up with the exact same sound right now. We just have to look it up. But this is the technique that I use. So this is the way I played around with stuff. So you can see here, so I have the depth all the way up. It's more between comp 2 and R comp. Oh, and then I have a filter going on here. Ah, and I have this Formant filter going on. That's also really important. So it's going through this filter. Let me imitate that here. So we have this sound. So this is the one that we just did. Yeah. So this is the one that we just made. So I can use a high cut filter. Hello. It's playing in the wrong position. Use a high cut filter and then modulate that a little bit. And then next thing I used was a Formant filter. And what a Formant filter does, it imitates... Holy shit, no. I don't want a software update, thank you. It imitates our mouth. So the way our mouth creates vowels is by creating certain resonances. And those resonances create the difference between an A and O and E. Let me show that to you real quick. Let me take this off. So if I might want to take the distortion off. Naja. So hier A, I. I. So it sounds a little bit like a mouth, right? So this is the way this works, and that's what I applied here as well. So that's this one here. It's kind of subtle, but it all helps. I think if I... No, I thought those were be moving slightly, but yeah. Oh yeah, those are moving. Sorry, I was in the wrong instrument. So I have those Formant filter here. Otherwise it would sound like this. And then I have the Formant slightly modulated through an LFO. here. And then some distortion. Oh, quite a bit of distortion. Yeah, it's okay. And a flanger. So this is the waveform. This is the high pass filter. This is the Formant filter. This is the distortion and flanger. And there's the first sound. so then we have. This is very straightforward. This is just a, I don't know, what is it? I don't want to accidentally change the patch. I think it's a Jupiter, if I recall correctly. And it's with Infiltrator. What is it doing? It's a little like Formant shift on it. It's not so important though. This is way louder. This is just a little support. And then, this is important though. This is a cello. This is a... What's going on with the graphics? Hello? So this is a Stradivari cello. And once again, you can hear the pitch bend, right? That's what makes it already pretty nasty. If I were to delete this. And we put it back here. It's much more straightforward, but with a pitch bend. Kind of weird. Then layered with this one. This one's pretty soft in the background, just to give it a little bit more beef. Thanks for your music. My husband doesn't listen to anything else. Yeah, I hope you enjoy that though. Some people were angry for me. Like some are like, some people I meet and they're like, hey, what you doing? And I'm like, yeah, I make music, da 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 da. And can you play me a song and something that I know? And then I'm usually like, yeah. I'm not sure if you know it, especially when it's people my age, but if you have kids that are like teenage kids, they probably, if they like play video games and stuff, yeah, they probably know it. And then I play them Unity, and then they hate me. They're like, oh my god, they're listening to it like 24/7. I cannot hear the song anymore. It's like been running for months. So yeah, I hope you also enjoy the music. So that's why I heard some cello similar sound in the drop. I see, yeah, exactly. So cello is quite an instrument here that I used quite a bit, right? It's in the... So this here is a... This is cello. Da-da-dum-dum. Of course, it's in the strings themselves. And then it's the lead. Yeah, so that's a lead. It's mostly this pigment sound that I elaborated on for a little longer. Then it's very straightforward cello with pitch bend on it. So it's just a little EQ on the cello, nothing else. And then just more EQ. I don't know why I did split this up on several EQs here. So this filter here just comes in later. Oh, I had it filter out. I don't have it filtering out anymore. I don't know. And some compression on it. And then there's one more added, I think. Yeah, this is this lead here. Just an octave lower. Just to add some variation. I wonder if I can open this here. I just don't want to change it. Chorus lead. Hello. No. Does it show me which I have activated? No. I'm not sure if it was a preset or not. Anyway, not that important. Yeah, and then... So this is the same as we had here, but this time without the strings. That's really important here that we get away. So those strings run from here, from the very beginning, till up to the drop. Up to the drop. So, right, strings are running. So those are the strings here. And they finally shut up, so it gets more rhythmic. It's also, this is important, that the melody here, if you look at this, it's dotted. It's dotted 32s. So this is a 32 raster, as you can see here. It's not dotted. It's dotted 16ths. That's what it is. So it's 3 32s long. So it's not on the 16th grid anymore. So before we had that's the grid. Everything was on that grid. Quite fast grid already, but it's on that grid. So here it changes to those dotted 16s. So it's dung 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 dung. So it's twice as fast. The grid is twice as fast. So that's sometimes a thing that you can use. For example, you have eighth notes going on. So you have dung 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 dung. So those would be the eighths. So now when you change to dotted 16ths, so dung 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 dung, so dung 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 dung. So you switch to the 16th raster, if you will. Is it called raster? I don't know. Raster in German. Grid. Grid isn't the right word. So you switch to that grid, and it really creates a shift in how you perceive the groove of the music. Very, very prominently done in Flume's remix of... What's the Disclosure song? Name of the Disclosure song. Anybody knows it? You and Me. It's gonna be you and me, gonna be everything you have. So it has this dung 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 dung, goes all the time like that, the instrumental, and then it's dum 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 dum, and this dum dum ba dum dum. All of a sudden you have the 16th activated, if you will. That's how if you just play it on the piano, the instrumental, you already feel a huge difference going into the drop. Without any bass or any build-up or drums going on, just when you just play it, you already have a difference. So yeah, I wasn't thinking of the Flume remix right here, but it's a general technique that you can use to separate parts from each other. Cool. So this picks up this lead. So you have like an echo of the lead, right? There's the lead. And now we get into the verse. Sound. It's this one. It's 40's very own keys. It's a native instrument thing. And then I have this cello. It's the same cello that I used for the drop, by the way. You can play it very expressively. I love that. So it's not a real cello, it's just MIDI. And then it drops back into those 16ths. So also you have kind of moment of relief because you don't have those tensions in the chords anymore, right? It's just because with this here, like I said, you have this a lot of tension in the chords, but here we're just on the E. We're just on the Where was I? Yeah, so we're just on the E. It's just the E playing. So a little bit we feel like, okay, now we're at home. Only the cello creates a little bit of tension, and then we get back into the tension again. And this time, it's also a little bit different, I think, because... No, it's not. No, the kick drum, the 808 moves along right away. Yeah. Cello fades out. And obviously, first time we had like quite a breakdown here when we switched into right. It was a breakdown here. This time it kind of sneaks in. Let me put on the vocals. So the first time it goes like this. Second time, it just goes on. Here now you have sort of a break. That's really important, but because if we would just do another breakdown, let me make it like this. Let's come from here. So if it would be arranged like this. It would be just too much of a break, right? Because we already had sort of a break here. Because the first time, so if you look at the energy, the song starts here, and from here the energy builds and builds and builds, right? So because we have here, the flute comes in, now the drums come in, now a lot more stuff comes in, and builds even more. So this is the first time we ramp up the energy and then we get into a breakdown. So it's sort of the energy is released and we have a breakdown. But here, we have another build of energy that gets into the drop. And it gets released here. So now the energy goes down. And so it's very low energy all the time. Now we slowly start building the energy. Right, it's more and more energy. If we would now do another breakdown, it's just not enough energy to release it, right? It's just starting to build the energy. So this time it feels more like it's just, the entire thing is just from here on, it's just one huge buildup into the drop. While here we have a buildup into the breakdown and then build up into the drop. So we have like energy going up from here to here, energy going up from here to here, and then we have energy going up from here to here. Otherwise it would be just too early to release the energy. So that's really important. So another drop. This is just, this part here comes in. That's just a loop I found on Splice, if I remember correctly. What I did here is this, what I sometimes do. When you want to make something stereo, you just take this part here. So the sample looks like this, I think. I think it's already looped a little bit. Is it? No, it's not. So this is a sample, and what you can sometimes do is you just shift it a little bit. So if you, voila, it's stereo. Right? So you take this, because it's played, it plays the same thing, but it's not looped. So it's an actual acoustic instrument that plays the same thing again. So you can create like a double of it. All right, so if you take this and you combine it with this, because this sounds a little different because it's actual recording, and you put it left and right, now you have the entire loop stereo. So that's what I did here. And here I just add a couple of things. Oh, I have an erhu, the Chinese instrument. Like this, with quite a bit of EQ on it. Set to very dry. And then there's other stuff coming on. This one here again. And then I have this Omnisphere vocal. It's very subtle. So it just repeats. Now this one comes in. This one comes in. Then the erhu goes up. Yeah, so except this repetition here. So first it plays and just repeats, because I don't want to overwhelm the listener with some change already, but from there on, you always have something different. So this sounds different because the vocal comes in. This one sounds different because now the erhu is in and all the metals come in. This one has this one on top here. And on this one, the erhu goes an octave higher, right? And then we have the vocal coming in. So every repetition sounds slightly different. And like I said, the piano here just so the do those chords. It's just what the strings play in the beginning. So this here, it's just the same thing again. This is a sample of a Spieluhr. I don't know what it's called. This like little toy thing. Some wobble bass under it. And here, just an atmosphere coming in. This one here. I think I had it out of Omnisphere or something. What's this? Yeah. So those are the atmospheres combined. Just so something's happening in the background. How did you do that wobble bass? Wobble bass are pretty simple. You just take... should I show it in pigments or should I show it in serum? Let me know. Just gonna show it in pigments. The idea behind this is always the same. So you just have an pigments, fine, cool. Pigments next to it, cool. Yeah, so probably if you use serum, it's even better because you understand the thought process behind it. It's very simple. You just have it like a saw. Let me tune it down an octave. So, and you take a filter, and you cut off a lot of the higher frequencies, and then you take an LFO. I'm gonna do it in serum in a second as well. It's very simple. You just put the LFO on the filter. So that's like the most common way to do it. It's a little slow now, so we make it a little faster. Right? Excuse me. And so this is very simple. Of course, now you can get more funky with the oscillator that you're using. You can put it on unison. And then you have your wobble. You can make this free run. No, let's do the same thing as here once again. Real quick. Doesn't take long. So, once again, you have a saw, activate the filter, and then you put an LFO to the filter, and then you change the rate of the LFO. And once again, you can get a little more creative with the waveform you're using. Depending on the waveform that you use. And then you can switch on unison once again. Yeah, and then you can change the rate of the LFO. It's not synced to BPM. And that's how you wobble with your bass. And I think what makes it interesting here is that I think it's in triplets, so it's do 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 do, so do 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 do, so it's three wobbles on one beat. Very subtle as well. I have to look up which instrument I used for this one. I don't remember. Let me look it up. TheFatRat. Still here. It's still in the Twilight Zone. Able files pre-chorus. Instrumental master. No, I don't think I had the Struktur. Instrumental master. Bass, melody, chords. Because I printed the bass here. Melody, string, bass. What if this one here? That looks good. Yeah. Oh, it's some pigments. Okay, interesting. All right, so this is the pigments patch here. Let me turn off the stuff here. Okay, so it gets a little distortion from Saturn. So I'm going to play it without the distortion. It's also a patch that I made myself, apparently. So I did more stuff, more sound design on this one. By the way, there's sometimes a discussion about like, hey, you should like totally make your own sounds, otherwise your music's not legit. I totally disagree. I would love to only use presets. That would be amazing, so I could just focus on the music. But the reason I make a lot of sounds myself is simply that I don't find them. And for me, it's often faster when I have a sound in my head to program it rather than to search for it. I really don't like searching for sounds so much because it kind of distracts me from the vision that the vision is, I don't know if vision is the right word, from the idea that I have in my head. So when I listen to a lot of other sounds, it distracts me from that. And then I never quite find the sound that I'm searching for. So usually so that's why I make sounds myself. But sometimes Sometimes if you just step through presets and you find one, that's even better. So yeah, like I said, I would prefer to use only presets, but I don't because usually I don't find the sounds that I'm looking for. So let me see what I did here. All right. Interesting. So what I did here is, how do I explain this? And what are these doing here? To Corsa. Okay, it goes here. All right. Okay. This one, those ones here, I think are not used. Okay. Okay, so first of all, you have a saw wave. Just a saw wave. Then what happens is I have this envelope here. I think it's envelope. Which one is it? No, it's the envelope 3, I think. Yeah, envelope 3. So envelope 3, it's really fast. As you can see here, it starts here and goes down really fast. It pitches up the saw at the beginning and then goes down. So this would be just the saw. And this is, so if I make it longer, you see what happens. So this happens just really fast. Right? This happens really fast. Now, what else happens is that I have unison enabled. So what unison does? Interesting. What unison does is that it adds more oscillators that play the same thing. Let me turn this off. Let me turn also this off. This one as well. So now if I put it to 2, I have 2 oscillators playing the same note. And now I can detune them. Now you have then an octave apart. Now you can really hear. It's just 2 oscillators playing. Usually you have them pretty close together. Right? So it sounds like one sound. And you add more voices. Detune them a little bit. So then you give this, this typical unison sound. Okay, let me switch back here. So what I did here is for a split second, I add more voices and more detune, and it's pitched up. Well, that's why I have this punch in the beginning. And then I have this randomizer here, which pretty much does this here. Just in a very, very subtle way. You can hear that it's not quite stable. The sound is the pitch is just shivering a little bit. So I make just a little bit more. Right? Okay, and then I put a filter on top. So I filter out all the high frequencies, but with a resonance. And in the beginning, the filter is open a little bit more. Once again, which one is it? It's envelope 3 once again. So what it does is, no, I have, so use the same envelope here to open the filter. Comes from here and goes down. And then interesting, yeah. Yeah, so it's a lot of playing around with stuff. So yeah, that's why I have this punch in the beginning. Right? This is what this is all it's for. If I remove this, you hear it gets very, it's very simple. Gets kind of boring. So that's what all this stuff here is for. And then it's distorted. warm transformer. I don't know what I used this one here for. Then EQ. And that's about it. Did I use this? Yeah. Just taking out the low frequencies. And that's how you end up with this. And oh, I have spiff on it. Ah, interesting. I think there were some clicks in the sound, which is, by the way, a problem I find with pigments. Sometimes creates little clicks. Yeah, and sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. So I use spiff to reduce those here. That's not so important. It's just the kick. Just kick bass. Cool. Let's have a look at the vocals. How they're mixed and how they're arranged.
Baby, don't you worry, I'll make sure that you're right.
So just one lead vocal.
Baby, don't you
I found her on Sound Better, by the way. Sound Better is a platform. I'm not affiliated in any way, but it's a platform where you can hire session, like you cannot hire everything music. So you can hire mixing engineers, mastering engineers, instrumentalists. For example, I had the string section from We Meet Again. I also found people on Sound Better for that. And yeah, also I tried, I think 8 different singers. So I just had them sing a demo and I paid all of them, but just a smaller fee, just to sing one pass, just the verse and the pre-chorus. And then I had 8 singers and was really hoping I would find somebody, because this song is incredibly difficult to sing. Because it's very low and also very high and it needs all kinds of different emotions. Yeah, but Kinney is her name. She really, really killed it. So that's how, how she got on the song.
Baby, don't you worry.
Yeah, so it's a one lead vocal. Let's take off all the effects.
Baby, don't you worry, I'll make sure
A few of
that
them.
you're right. Baby, don't you worry about me, I will be Baby, don't you worry.
So this is the
sure
raw vocal.
you're right.
So
Baby, don't you worry.
just some
I'll
EQ.
make sure that you're right.
Then soothe.
Baby, don't you worry.
Use soothe
I'll make sure that.
to
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make.
some of the harshness
Baby,
here.
don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
This one's not really important, I think.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure.
I just
about me, I will be fine. About me,
I use this to just lower the vocal of this one, lower the volume of this one here a little bit.
I will be fine.
That's so. This is not important. Then there's a little bit of chorus.
Baby, don't you worry.
So if
I'll make sure that
use this a lot.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make.
So this makes it wider,
Don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
just a little bit.
Baby, don't you worry.
So that now it's very in the middle.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make. Baby, don't you worry.
Now it's a little bit wider. Yeah, but it makes it a little smoother.
Baby, don't
I
you
used Pro MB as a de-esser.
Baby, don't you worry.
I used to use Waves as a de-esser, but boy, I'm not using any Waves plugins anymore ever
Baby, don't you worry.
because of their weird policies. Their update policies, I really don't like them. So yeah, now I'm using Pro MB.
Baby, don't you worry.
So just de-esser.
Baby, don't you worry.
A little bit of the original OTT, which was a preset in the multiband compressor enabled.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
Just brings it a little bit more up front and smooths it as well. Makes it a little brighter.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make.
Then I took another EQ. Ah, okay. OTT kinda...
Baby, don't you worry.
OTT tends to emphasize this frequency, so that's why after OTT I removed this one as well. That's why I didn't do it before, because I wanted to do it after OTT.
Baby, don't.
And then I have echo,
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
some delay.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you.
What I use here is I put a little modulation on the delay.
Baby, don't you
So if I put the modulation here, if I switch it off,
baby, don't you worry.
you hear that the delay is very much in the middle.
Baby, don't you worry.
So this is only the delay signal that you hear now. If you put a little modulation on it,
Baby, don't you
you hear that the delay signal is now stereo, because I don't want the echo to be in the middle. So I want the voice to be in the middle, and then I want the echo to be a little wider.
Baby, don't you worry.
Yeah, other than that,
Baby, don't
nothing
you
crazy. And
worry.
then I have a little bit of high pass and low pass filter. So this is without filter.
Baby, don't you worry.
Sounds like the other one.
Baby, don't you worry.
So it has a little filter on it.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
Let's go back.
Baby, don't you worry.
And then I have this thing called parallel reverb. So this is a very old reverb that I really like to use. It's from Native Instruments and Softtube.
Baby,
Let me just play the reverb signal. So this is a reverb. What I really like about it is it's so simple. It just sounds good, and I don't have to worry a little bit too much about the controls, because the controls are just, you have like the low frequency reverb length and the higher frequency reverb length cutoff, and this is a little bit like how fast the reverb comes in. Yeah. And that's pretty much about it. Then you have like 3 algorithms. So I like my stuff to be very simple, so I can focus on making music and not so much on controlling every reflection on the reverb. Some people might like that. I like to have like one reverb that sounds good. So but then what I did is I put it here in parallel. So here the clean signal goes through. So if I put this on solo,
baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that
you have the signal with a delay already, so you can hear the delay but no reverb. And here's the reverb, but here's a compressor, and it's sidechained from this channel pre-effects. So it takes the signal before it even goes into any effects, and then it compresses the reverb depending on the signal. So let me make this real obvious. Right, so you hear that it gets pushed away, and as soon as she stops singing, then the reverb comes back. And the reason you do this is because it fills up. So that way you get more reverb,
right.
but you get it more into the pauses. So whenever she doesn't sing,
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
Whenever she does not sing, then I get more reverb signal. So this way it creates depth without covering the signal.
Baby,
So,
don't you worry.
and then I have more
Baby,
EQ
don't you
here.
worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
Yeah, I think I didn't like the low frequency, like the ending. I think I had a little bit of too much low frequencies.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
Yeah, and control the high frequency. There's nothing special here. You can, by the way, you can also do the same thing that I just explained. You can also do it with delay sometimes. Let me show that. So if I just have the delay here.
Baby, don't you worry.
So this is just the delay signal here. If I go to character and enable ducking and pull the threshold down, it does the same thing already. So I don't have to do this parallel thing here. It does it in the delay. So let me show you. You hear that? And you can hear in every pause you have here, you can hear the, let me put the delay down. Every pause you see here, because you don't hear the main signal now, you hear the delays coming up. Right? And that way, now if you mix it,
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
this is obviously way too much. Let me,
Baby, don't you worry. Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right. Baby,
there's no visual feedback here for when it works, so that's why I put it all the way on wet.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
So now when you have set it up, that just push it back a little bit.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
So that way you can get more delay. Same thing here.
Baby, don't you worry. I'll make sure that you're right.
right? So whenever there's a pause, you hear more delay and reverb.
Baby, don't you worry, I'll make sure that you're right.
Yeah, and that's a pretty popular way these days already. A lot of people do it. So you have a lot of depth, a lot of delay and reverb, but only in pauses.
Baby, don't you worry, I'll make sure that you're right. Baby, don't you worry about me, I will be fine. Give you everything that's mine. You.
Now we're switching from just one lead. This one is just one lead in the middle.
Baby, don't you worry.
Now we have 3 going on at the same time.
You everything that's mine.
Very stereo. General setup here is pretty similar, but I think we have more delay going on now.
You everything that's mine. Hope you won't see.
We have a little volume automation here.
You everything that's mine. Hope you won't see the hunger in my eyes. You everything that's mine. Hope you won't see.
Yeah, so it you have to like it really gets stronger here. If you just listen to the vocal sound here.
I will be fine.
So
Worry about me, I will be fine. Give you
here it gets wider, it also gets brighter, it gets more depth. It's just so it builds.
all that we've been dreaming of lies beyond the clouds, beyond the fears, beyond.
And on this part here, you can see it's split up. So it's always mid signal and then left and right. I'm not going to go through all the details on the mixing. It's kind of similar to what we have before, but I had to adjust the EQ curves just because she sounds very different. So this is the low vocal here at the beginning. She just sounds very different. Through, of course, you need different EQ settings depending on if a singer sings very low or very high. And she sings, this one goes from very, very low to very, very high. So I just had to adjust the EQ settings here.
Dreaming of lies beyond the clouds, beyond the fears, beyond the rain and the tears and the pain. Baby, don't you be afraid. I'll make sure you're safe. I keep on fighting, yeah, I keep on fighting.
Killer performance here. It's really high. If you would hear the other singer singing it, like nobody got even close to this. It's so high to sing. I think it's E and F high. She completely belts it out. Really, really cool. Yeah, so that was quite a pain in the quite a pain to have them connect, because you need different EQ settings for the different parts, but you also want the parts. You don't want to hear that the EQ is switching. So getting this right was quite a bit of tinkering. Yeah, but then anything else? Yeah, this is completely dry. It's very saturated with Saturn here. So this is with and without Saturn. With Saturn, the warm tube. And then what else do we have? Yeah, so when it comes back, we have a few little things here going on. So we have the whisper tracks.
No one will hurt you, I promise you, babe. It will be okay, just be silent and stay. Stay put, don't follow, I'll be back to.
Just to make it more intense. And then we have harmonies. So we have the harmonies going on, then we have the echoes as well. And then those little ad-libs. That way we're making sure that it stays interesting. So this is the first time. Second time. ad-libs. And then we have those. Yeah, so this was quite a lot of fun to arrange, just on the piano. Took me a couple of, I don't know, maybe an hour or so, to figure out the different voices, because it's really, it's not just harmonies, it's kind of polyphonic, if you will. So it's like every voice does its own thing, right? So they don't even start together. It's a and this one is all that we've been dreaming of lies beyond the clouds. And also it's also kind of interesting because the lead starts on the bottom. It's right? It's do do do. So the lead starts, and then the other ones get on top. But then it's in the middle. And then it goes to the top. On this beyond that, now you have the lead on top. So the lead starts in the bottom, gets into the middle, and then goes on top, which kind of emphasizes this build-up thing. All that we've been dreaming of lies beyond the clouds, beyond the fears, beyond the rain and the tears and the pain. Baby, don't you be afraid. I'll make sure you're safe. I keep on fighting, yeah, I keep on fighting. Yeah. I keep on fighting, yeah, I keep on fighting. Don't cry. I'll be back. What I did here. Quite a popular thing. I learned it 20 years ago in audio engineering school. So what you do for this is you don't cry. Take the main signal, and then you reverse it. Where was the reverse? Here's the reverse. So now play yeah, I think I posted this on social, on Instagram stories or something like that. Yeah, so reverse this one, and then you put some reverb on it. And I'm just gonna take like Valhalla. Make it a little longer. So now you print this. Freeze track. Yeah, it's very creepy. And then you reverse the entire thing again. And now you have the reverb coming before the signal. Right? Yeah, so that's what I did here. Just had it a little bit. I think I had the reverb tail a little shorter. Same thing here. Don't cry. I'll be out tonight to keep the monsters away. Yeah, and then we just have those breaths here. It's just left and right, with some volume automation you can see here. think there's nothing. It's just a little EQ and compressor. Yeah. EQ and compressor. This is just EQ. And then the outro track.
I keep on fighting, I keep on fighting,
Just a lot of distortion on it.
I keep on fighting, they keep on dying. I keep on
Yeah.
fighting, they keep on dying.
And that's the vocal production. And that's the song. Where are you? I hope you found this interesting. Let me check the chat. Just made intro for a new horror movie. Yeah, that's this technique of reversing stuff is done quite a bit. You can make it especially creepy if you reverse whispers. So if you take this here.
I want you to hide it while I'm on my way. No one will hurt you.
If you take this and I have to use this thing once and you reverse them. Yeah, sounds really weird. Or you can also just put the reverb, do the same trick here. So if I take this and then add some reverb on it, let me use a vintage verb. Freeze it. Flatten. And reverse this again. And you have those ones not reversed. Hey, I do not want to be this to be reversed.
Hurt you, I promise you, babe. It will be okay, just be silent. Stay. I want you to hide it while I'm on my way. No one will hurt you, I promise you, babe. It will be okay, just be silent. Stay put, don't follow.
Yeah. So this is actually how a lot of those horror sound ambiences are done. Yeah, very, very creepy. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Gonna answer them right now. I have a problem when I go into basses in my song. I'm really into EDM, but I can get such a filled bass as in your song. Any tip? Could have a lot of different reasons. That's why it's a little difficult to answer for me. Trying to think what could be reasons. Yeah, try to have the bass focus on the low frequencies only. So try to have not too many harsh. So instead of pushing the low frequencies, try and figure out where the bass is. Try and figure out where it's harsh and try to remove the harsh frequencies. That's what I do a lot. So that can help. Sounds like one of those horror movies. What computer are you using? Oh, I have a great computer now. I have a really good computer now. I have a MacBook Pro 2023, so it's with a second generation Apple processors. I think MacBook Pro Max, if I'm correct. It's really, really good. Man, I've never been such a big fan of Apple. I only used the laptops, and when I had desktops, I preferred PC. But this one's really good. It's really good. I love that the battery goes forever. It never makes any noises. So the air, how's it called? The cooling system, you never hear it. The other one, the Intel Mac, it always made such a noise when I started producing. And then I think it even throttled down the processor because it just got too hot. It's like, oh, I have to work slower now, and you're in the middle of a project. And then all of a sudden, nothing works anymore. But this one works like a charm. Really love it. Can highly recommend it. It's very expensive though. But if you can afford it, I think it's great. Great computer. Did you produce the what TheFatRat does when he feels spooky? Did you produce the instrumental first, or you first received the vocals and then the production? No, I did the instrumental first. And I sang on top of it myself. So I often have the melodies in my head. I record them very, very very shitty. So I'm just like, sometimes even like on a mobile or something, I record them. So they sound horrible. And that's why I'm going to play to you. So it sounds something like, or is it drop sound? Let me play the one with the vocal lines to it. So that's me singing. Oh, it was slightly different. Yeah, just some do. Yeah, but I write the melodies. As you can hear, they were slightly different than they are in the final song as well. And then we started writing lyrics. Wait, this time I wrote the lyrics alone. Yeah, so sometimes I write together with other people who help me with the lyrics, but recently I've been more sometimes into writing the lyrics all by myself. Where was I? Where are you right now? Yeah, I'm on Cyprus at the moment. What song would you recommend to introduce you to old generations like 60-year-old? Name 3 songs. Oh, that's a good question. Maybe Monody. That's might be one. Will You Meet Again? I would say. Which one else? And then Warbringer. No, just kidding. Strong. No, it's not stronger. What else is like? Close to the Sun, probably. The friendly ones. They're more melodic. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. Depends on the person, of course. If the person is more like a 60-year-old metalhead, probably start with Stronger. Yeah, I think it really depends on the person. What's your opinion about AI and music industry? Will your job disappear? Oh, wait. No, what are the space on your MacBook? Yeah, I have an 8 terabyte SSD. So the biggest one. Yeah, it's cool for all the samples that I have. And I have like every song I made in the last, I think, 15 years. Everything's on this laptop here that I'm also using for streaming at the moment. And have it all backed up on a time machine. And I have this like Apple plan. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Somebody said I roasted Windows and Intel. No, I only roasted Intel. I still like the Windows PCs a lot. And with a desktop PC, Intel is fine. But when it comes to laptops, I think Apple is just way ahead of the game now. So what was it? So my opinion about AI and music industry. Man, I don't think anybody can tell what's gonna happen with AI. If it's like maybe in 2 years it's gonna become sentient and kill all of us, or maybe nothing happens at all. Not a lot. Maybe it's just a jump that we see at the moment, then remains on the same level for the next 5 years, and maybe it develops in a beautiful way, which is what I'm hoping for. Personally, I don't see my job disappear too fast. I think so. Maybe, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years probably. It might take until the AI becomes so good that it really creates like songs that people actively want to listen to. I think what's gonna happen first, like background music stuff. So this, hey, we have an action scene, we need some drums. Like, it's more a little bit generic music where it's like interchangeable. So I think you can train an AI pretty soon, maybe in 1 or 2 years. You can train an AI to say like, hey, I need some dramatic music, which is like for this, and then I need some romantic piano stuff. So if it's not really about like very specific melodies and not about like being very, very on point. So because what I'm doing, not even with this track so much, but with, let's say, Unity, okay, because it's going viral again. So it's all about this one very tiny melody. That's kind of the entire song. So making this kind of music, I don't know how good AI is going to be with that, because you have to be very specific about that. And then you have to be very thoughtful about how you arrange it. Maybe it's also going to become great. But what I've seen from AI so far in music, because I checked out a lot of the stuff that it's doing, of course, is that it's getting better in creating like, I don't know, some drum loop or some guitar playing along or some piano. So if it's more broader and more generic, that's where it's going at the moment. So I think people who just make background music and not on a very high level, because I think if you do like blockbuster Hollywood movies, no director is gonna like use AI music. But if you're making like low-level background music, I think then you might lose your job in the next couple of years. I mean, not you lose it, but you'll compete against AI in the next couple of years. That's my opinion, but boy, who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows. I think with AI, it's a complete game changer. Do you know about any free plugins for orchestra, mainly horns and brass, because I don't have any money? No, not from the top of my head. Sorry, because I have the stuff that I use, I paid for it, and now I'm not looking for any other free stuff. Maybe ask ChatGPT. Why are you working about anyone? While you're worried about anyone taking over your stuff, there's people working. I don't quite understand what you mean. Okay. What's your opinion on AI music? It was an answer to that. Yeah. Why are you worried about anyone taking over your stuff? There's people working. Yeah. Okay. Chords on achieving 2 million views on If So remix. Could be today's outro for any chance. Yeah, let's do that. Oh yeah. That's great. It's one of the underrated remixes. One of my underrated songs, I think. It never did anything. Probably answering for my last, referring to my last week's. No, it wasn't If So. Picking Up All the Pieces was the one. Picking Up All the Pieces was the one that I found the most underrated. Anyway, yeah. Where's Picking Up All the Pieces? Interesting. This one, Picking Up All the Pieces. See, because I really like Picking Up All the Pieces remix, but it really didn't do anything at the release. And the If So remix, it went number 2 on Hype Machine on the block charts back then. But over time, the Picking Up All the Pieces overtook the If So remix. That's really interesting. So it finally got the recognition it deserves, and I'm gonna play it. No, we want to play If So. Yeah, I'm gonna play If So as well as an outro. Happy birthday! Yeah, tomorrow birthday. I want to ask if I want to upload my original track on YouTube and make it copyright-free music. What advice would you give me? Which copyright licenses should I use? I'm concerned that someone might steal my track and claim it as their own. I don't know if you can even like configure any specific copyright licenses on YouTube. The way I'm doing it legally is basically that I'm just giving a usage license to people who want to use it. So it's not even public domain or anything, or it's not even, what's it called? Creative Commons. So it's total copyright control, if you will. I just give licenses to people who want to use it. Yeah, so how can you do that? Man, I don't know. But I won't be so afraid. It's more important to get your stuff out there than to protect it. I was also, when I started making music, I was super scared that somebody would take my stuff. And I did. So with the very first song that I did, I burned it on a CD and put it in an envelope and closed the envelope, put the date on it, and then gave it to my lawyer. Said like, here, so I have like proof that I made the song before I sent it to anybody. Never doing this today anymore. Because nobody cared about the song, so at least for me, like, why would I protect something that nobody cared about? Yeah. So yeah, I would more worry about getting your music out there. I mean, potentially somebody could come and steal your song, but you can still, if somebody re-uploads it on YouTube, there are still ways to take it down. So you can just file and say like, hey, this is my song, and you reference your upload, because you can prove that you're the first who uploaded it. You reference that, you say like, hey, it's my upload, I want this video to be taken down. If somebody steals it in a way that they release it as their own, so they pretend that's their own song, then you can do that. Happy birthday. Okay. Great computer for not gaming. Yeah, I have a gaming computer as well, so I'm still gaming on a PC. PC standing right there with my NVIDIA 3090 Ti, I think, if I remember correctly. No, 3090. I think it's normal 3090. Which was list price was, I think, 1,600 euros, and I got it for 3,000. Yay! But I really, that really had to be done. A couple years ago, there was like in the chip shortage. Thank you for pointing that out. Can you tell us about the Purple Community Fund charity that you're doing? Yeah, I want to talk about that anyway. So I talked about this already really short on Instagram and socials in general. So if you look at the artwork of the song, it's those two kids on this trash dump. And we had the idea, we were actually skiing, we were on vacation, and we wanted to develop the artwork while we were skiing. We had this idea of those two children, and we thought, okay, let's get some inspiration and let's look up children on a trash dump. And boom, our screen was filled with real children on a real trash dump. We were like, oh, what the hell is going on? And we found out that most of those pictures were actually done in Manila, where there's a lot of poverty in the Philippines. And it's crazy because the people from the Philippines they have this really working culture. They're really also like have great energy. I know a few people from the Philippines. But it's just the conditions are so hard for them. And yeah, there are children living in the trash, and they're eating leftovers. They collect leftovers out of the trash and they cook them, and then they eat that. So that's their daily food. It's incredible. Yeah. So I wanted to. When I started making music, I always thought, hey, if I ever like make it bigger and if I started making real money with music, I also really want to give something back. And at this point, I thought, okay, now is the time because, success comes and then you're really busy and you always postpone this like, okay, I want to give something back. It's like, oh yeah, maybe next year. But now I moved to Cyprus and a lot of important thing of my private life has been like fixed now. So we thought like, okay, we're here skiing, having a great time and not have to worry about money. And there are children right now living on a trash dump. This is not acceptable. So we have to start doing something. So we searched for people who already help there. And we found the Purple Community Fund. And it's run by Jane. She's from the UK. We talked to her a lot of times, had very in-depth discussions with her. Mostly my wife did this, but me as well. And they do great work there and they really make sure that the money ends up with people and it's not spent on like promotion to collect more money. So that's why we teamed up with her. And the first step that I'm doing is that I'm gonna forward all the proceeds from the song Hunger. So all the revenue that comes to me, actually it's not gonna end up with me, but I'm directly forwarding to the Purple Community Fund, so it helps people. That's the thing that I'm doing. And then I'm also asking people, of course, if you would be amazing if you would support it. And you can just go to TheFatRat.com. By the way, I have this website since I think 2004 or 2005, something like that. Never used it, and I'm very happy that I now started using it for a charity project. So if you go to TheFatRat.com, you can donate there. It's really appreciated if you do a monthly donation, because they have to help those children. So they want to take them into the program and tell them, hey, like we're gonna take care of you until you're grown up or like 16 or something. So we educate you, we make sure you get food so you can grow up, and then you can later get a job and like support you. And then they also usually one child can support their entire family, which is really amazing. But for that they need like a constant like money supply. So it's of course it's amazing if you want to support, if you want to donate one time. That's amazing. Thank you very much. But it's even more, it helps a lot more if you do it on a monthly basis, because then they can calculate. Because if they get 10,000 this month and they're like, hey, let's onboard a lot of children, and then the next month they get nothing, and they're like, oh, all the children that we get, we don't know how to support them anymore. And they have to go back to their families, or they have to go back like searching for food leftovers in the trash. That's not so good, of course. So that's why it's even better if you do a monthly thing. And we already, from my side, it's not, you don't see it on the website yet. I think we have already 9,000 euros that the song made so far, because we also did some licensing. Oh, by the way, shout out to Amanotes. They're doing those mobile games. Like, how's it called? EDM. I forgot the exact name. They're doing those tiles hop games. A lot of those types of games. They have billions of downloads for their apps, and they're supporting it. So they're supporting the cause, I think, in their games and the press release and their socials and everything. So that's really amazing. Shout out to them. Yeah, and they license the song, so all the licensing money goes into the kids as well. And we also have some plays. It should be about 10K, I think, already that the song made. So that's already going to the children. And then I think we have already some donations as well. I think like $1,000 were already donated by other people. So yeah, we're starting something. And the cool thing about having a song, doing this with the song, is that the song generates revenue every month. So it's not this one-time donation, like I said before, which is great, but it's not the optimum for this kind of charity. It's rather than having this regular income. And I might add other songs to that as well later on. Cool. So this is about the Purple Community Fund. It would be highly appreciated if you could go to TheFatRat.com and donate. Even if you just donate $1, hey, that already helps. That helps a lot. Let me do 5 more minutes and then I'm gonna end the stream. My favorite is Dancing Naked. It would be great if you made a song review stream. I know it's old. Yeah, I have to see if I can get the project running. I have it. Like I said, I have it all on my computer, but I have to check if I still can get it to run. What's the next breakdown you're going to do? Good question. Yeah, we could do Dancing Naked. Close to the Sun and Electrified. I will never replace the Federal Genius. Yeah, you never know, man. I don't know, at some point. I think at some point it's gonna replace everything and anything. You never know. We will see. Will you make a glitch hop song recently? Yeah, the next one is sort of glitch hop-ish. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about, could I play something? Could I play the drop? No, not yet. But yeah, the next one is more in that direction. And then I have 2 more songs. It's way more positive. The next 3 songs I think are gonna be way more positive. I'm working about all those at the moment. Could you do a collab with Alan Walker, please? We will see. We text sometimes. Once in a while, we text each other. We'll see. How was the past 3 weeks answering using a song of yours? What's the... Do we have any... What's the most painful song that I had? Because I had this back issue. Man, I had the worst pain in my entire life ever. And I never felt such a strong pain for such a long period of time. Maybe the pain intensity was there, but not for such a long period of time. It was insane because the nerve on my back was inflamed. So my entire... especially the lower leg, that was the nerve for the lower leg, and that one felt, it was like if somebody took a baseball bat and hit my leg with all force, but then the pain never goes away. So it's like someone was constantly beating you up. Yeah, it was interesting. Today is the Discord server's 5th anniversary, in addition to tomorrow being Chris' birthday. I didn't know that. That's insane. That's great. I'm gonna go to Discord then in a second. There's people out over here. I can spend myself more unless I invest on myself more. Do you still have some down, lost, losing confidence moment in your music career? Would you have any advice for someone in that situation? Yes. But I'm so used to it that I don't listen to it anymore. So it doesn't really affect me. But it's absolutely normal. It's just normal. What can it, like, how can you get out of it? If you're losing confidence, just try. And so what I think helps is, so there are two situations. One is you think your music's great, but it's not working. This is like sort of the harder situation. The situation that people complain more about is the situation, oh, I make music and I think all my music sucks. And I always say, this is sort of a good thing. Because when your music is not like blowing up, probably your music isn't there yet. So when you think your music sucks, it's really good because then you can try and figure out, why do you think it sucks? So the first step, if you think your music is great and it's not working, this is where I came from. That's why it took me a really long time to really move forward. Is first you have to learn why other people don't like your music as much as you like your music. Like I said, that's where I came from. So this was the first learning step, and then I was like, oh, my music is actually not that good as I thought, and then I can start working on that. Oh, so the other situation then might be you already think your music is not good. So basically just try and figure out what is missing. So you probably start on an emotional level, which means you listen to your song and then you're like, maybe it's a little bit boring, maybe it doesn't have the energy, maybe it's not that catchy, or maybe the sound doesn't quite sound as good. So you have something and take just one thing that bothers you most and then address that. So you think, okay, the sounds that I select, they don't sound really good. Okay, so then just study other people's sounds. Just study what are good sounds and what are bad sounds, and how are good sounds combined. Or you say, hey, my music, the melodies are not catchy. Okay, cool. Then just study melodies. I was really, really bad in melodies when I started. Really bad. I just then started analyzing melodies, like everything I could find. So I would just take all the music that I really liked, where I thought I really like the melodies on this one, and then just play the melodies in the piano, recreate them in Ableton Live or Logic at that time, recreate the melodies, look at them, slightly change them, try to understand why do they work, why don't they work, try and write something very, very similar, then I write something similar. As soon as I write something similar, it sounded horrible. But then you have one goal that you're working on. Instead of thinking oh, everything is horrible and I don't know what to do. Yeah, so that's the technique. You narrow your focus on one thing and try to fix that. And then you get used to thinking you suck when you're a music producer. I have this every once in a while. I'm like, oh, okay, it's there again. Screw it. I think it never goes away, because the interesting thing is, you might think oh, once I'm successful, then I'm over it. But the thing is, as soon as you become successful, you have one song that blows up. You're like, oh my God, will I ever be able to create something that good again? But I also know that feeling. The first time I had this feeling was in 2001. I had zero success, but I had made my first song that sounded good. I was I'm not sure if I'm ever in my entire life ever going to make something that's that good again. Turns out I made another song, so I made a couple more songs. They all sounded horrible. That's why I had this feeling. But then, I don't know, 10 songs later I was oh, this is also really good. Yeah, so you just have to keep on going. Yeah, so, and it's also, being successful doesn't take the feeling away, because you can always think, either you think you had one good song, you think oh, this was my one good song, this was my lucky shot, and I'm never going to create something like that again. Or you have a couple of good songs, and then you think, oh, I had this period of time where I was successful, and now I'm making a couple of songs that are not successful, or I'm making a couple of songs that I don't think are that good. And oh, maybe my time is over, right? You can always, no matter if it's 10 years, if it's 20 years, you have successful 20 years, and then you can still question yourself oh, maybe my timer is over. Yeah, so it never really changes. I'd like to tell you something. I've been listening to your music since 2016. I'm very nostalgic. Thank you for everything you do, for everything you've done. Your music is incredible. Your work is incredible. Everything is incredible. Thank you. I really wanted to say thank you for the hundreds of hours I spent listening to your music. My favorite tune so far, The Storm, The Calling, Envelope, and Let Love Win. Oh, I love Let Love Win. Awesome that you put it in there. Just thank you, and I can wait for the next ones. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to leave it with that, because it's a very, very nice ending for me. It really means a lot. That's the biggest... By the way, this is the thing that keeps me going. Because you can look at numbers, right? And you're this song performs like this, and this performs like that, and then you can see oh, numbers are going up, or maybe numbers are going down. Usually, some of them are always going down, because you have the spikes, right? And then it goes down. And for example, for me at the moment, Spotify is doing amazing. Streaming platforms are doing amazing. Those are important. But for example, YouTube, the algorithm for some reason doesn't like me that much anymore, which happened to a lot of EDM artists I saw as well. Some Skrillex, the Rumble, for example, had ridiculously low views on the official music video. At least it had a week after release, it had 500,000. He's 20 million subscribers. It's a huge hit with Fred again, and his after a week, I think I had 500,000 views. So yeah. So I could worry about that. But what really keeps me going are messages like this, because I always think like, if I really like the song, if I really put my heart into the song, I personally really like the song, maybe there's just one person out there who likes the song as much as I do. And maybe that person's gonna, for one person, just for one person, it's gonna be the favorite song, maybe for a week or so. But even then, that's already worth it. That's already worth the effort. And the rest, you know, maybe it becomes big, maybe it doesn't. You can never influence it. By the way, it's also what Rick Rubin said, one of the most successful music producers, besides Mix Martin, co-founder of Def Jam. He said you have no control if your song's going to be successful or not. It's not in your hand. You just make the best that you can make, something that you personally like, and you put it out there. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining the stream today. I'm just going to head over to the Discord and say happy birthday to the Discord server. And yeah, I don't know what we're going to do next week. I think it's going to be maybe a Q&A or a song review session. I have to look it up. Yeah, and then the new song, I don't know, maybe it's June 10th, but maybe it's June 5th, I think, but maybe it's going to be June 12th. Maybe you're going to push it back a week because it's not yet finished. Still waiting for some vocals. Cool. So long. Thank you very much for joining today, and see you next week on the Discord server. Bye-bye.